Page 26, Bossy Cow. Now, on this page, they're introducing a musical symbol, a new one for you to learn. So we've had musical symbols. That's what all this notation is in music. They're all symbols, and they mean something. So now we're adding something to it, and that is a curved line. It could be above the note or below the note. Doesn't matter where it's at. The point is it's a curved line. Now, a curved line is actually used for other things. It's like 4 or 5 different things a curved line can be used for, but we're just going to focus on what this is about. You see, we have a problem in music in that the time signature tells you how many counts are in a measure. Let's look at Bossy Cow at the bottom. It's in 2/4 time. There's only 2 counts in a measure. Well, what happens if I want a note to last longer than 2 counts? There isn't a note I can use to last longer than 2 counts, because the biggest note I can have is a half note in 2/4 time, because that's two counts. I can't have a dotted half note, and I can't have a whole note. It's not legal. You can't do it. So what they do is they tie notes together. If you look at well, they give you examples here. Let's just go through the examples. I prefer to use the music, but they put all these examples in there, so let's talk about them. The first example shows 2/4, and it shows 2 quarter notes. It's got the line connecting them. What the tie means, and it's called a tie, is you play the first note and hold it down for the length of both notes. So in this case, those 2 quarter notes tied together is played the same as a half note. You just play the first quarter note and hold it down for 2 notes. 1, 2, up. See, and that's it. In the second example, they have 4/4 time, and they're tying 2 half notes together. Well, it's the same thing. You play the first half note and hold it down for the length of both notes. So in this case, it would be 4 counts. It would be the same as a whole note. And 3/4 time is the same. It all works the same. But it's the bottom 2 examples there. The last 2 is where ties really come in most of the time. And that is when you want a note to last longer than the measure allows. So in the first one there, on the second line of examples, that's 4/4 time, and they've tied 2 whole notes together. Well, you play the first whole note, and you hold it down for the length of both whole notes. You would hold it down for 8 counts. And the second one is the same thing, except it's 3/4 time they're using dotted half notes. The notes they're using and the time signature isn't what's important. Don't let any of that junk confuse you. The point is you play the first note and hold it down for the length of both notes that are tied together. And the rule for ties, since you're confused anyway, I'll just tell you this too, is it can only be 2 notes. You can only tie 2 notes at a time. If they want more than 2 notes tied together, they have to string them. They have to, and that would tell you to play the first note and hold it down for however long they're tied together. And there's no limit to how long they can be tied together. For piano, there's sort of a limit, because when you play a note, it dies away, and eventually it dies away to nothing. So what's the point? Holding it down longer. Anyway, back to our rule. 2 notes only, and the notes have to be the same key, the same pitch on piano. You can't change keys. It's not a tie if you change keys. That's something else. We'll get to that something else later. Right now we're talking about ties. They've got to be the same note. So in Bossy Cow, they pointed out the first one for you. The 2 half notes in the middle of the line, they're tied together. So you're going to play the first half note, and you're going to hold it down for 4 counts. And then at the end of the piece, you've got 2 C's tied together, and it's the same thing. And that's the tie. So now you know what a tie is, and you'll be expected to remember it, and you'll be using it from time to time. So let's look at Bossy Cow now. Go through a routine for learning a new piece of music. First, I'll look it over. I see it's 1 line long. I don't know how many measures it is. I don't care. I'm just looking for a general idea of how long it is. I don't need to know exactly. Just, okay, it's 1 line long. It's treble and bass clef, 2/4 time signature. So we're only counting to 2, but we're still counting quarter notes. And I see quarter notes and half notes and some tied notes. Now the hands are playing at the same time, so I'm going to take it one hand at a time first. Try and make sure each hand is doing what it needs to do, and then I'll try to put the hands together, and that's usually a whole new adventure right there. So right hand first, they went third finger on the E, and I'm assuming you know the names of these notes in the music. You should know these instantly. If not, you need to keep drilling yourself on them. Please learn them so you don't need any extra crutches or anything to help you figure out the name of the note. You just need to memorize that. Bottom line in treble clef is an E. Just know it. It takes time, but keep at it. Anyway, I'm going to put third finger on E, and that puts the hand here. And then we have quarter notes, and then D's, and then the tie, so it's going to 1, 2, tie, 2. I say the word tie you can count it any way you want. The point is you got to hold it down for 4 counts. 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, tie, 2, and then at the end you got C's on there, and those are tied so hold it down for 4 counts. Left hand, you got thumb on middle C here. That puts the hand here. And it's C's and B's, and you're going to hold that C down like you did in the right hand. Okay, you get it? So once I have the hands working separately, then I try to put them together. And usually I'll hesitate all over the place. I don't care. I just want to know which fingers are working together. So at the beginning, we're in middle C position still. It's going to be these fingers, and then these fingers, and these. So we're using these fingers. So you just need to be able to do that. And again, my technique is I use weight distribution. I'm letting gravity push the note down. I'm just lowering which finger I want the gravity to be on. It's like walking. When you're walking, you're just shifting weight from one leg to the other. Here, I'm shifting weight from one finger to the other. It's here to here. And there is a little here, but it's so small you can't see it. I exaggerate it so you can see it, but I'm just transferring weight. And same thing here, I'm just transferring weight at the same time. There's no effort whatsoever as far as pushing the notes down. Gravity is doing it for me. I'm just lowering which finger. So it's here. And that's basically the piece. I go through it, and then I go back through it however many times it takes and get rid of all the hesitations. So it is a steady beat throughout the whole thing. Then I can think about, if I want to, the interpretation. Let's carry one point further. The music won't tell you much about interpretation. It will. There are symbols and things for interpretation, but right now they haven't introduced those yet. You got enough to think about. So I'm just kind of giving you some ideas on interpretation. The first thing I always think about in interpreting a piece is, where are the natural accents? Remember, the strongest natural accent is always the first beat of a measure. So in 2/4 time, it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You just naturally feel it. You don't force it. So I want to add the natural accents here. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I want to feel them. It's important. And once I have the idea of the natural accents, and if you're having a problem with the natural accents, then force it. Play a louder accent to help you feel them, but eventually you just want to feel them, don't force them. That's why they're called natural accents. I think about, where are the phrases? Where are the musical sentences? Where are the musical thoughts? If I look at the words, I see after moo, in the middle of the half notes, moo, there's a comma. So I could lift up there if I wanted to. So I'm going to connect all the way up there. Connect. And then lift up. Just like taking a breath. And then I have another sentence. So there's 2 sentences or 2 phrases. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. There's a comma after the second measure. Why can't I lift up there? And the answer is, you can. That's why different people will interpret the same piece different ways. They will think about it differently, and they will interpret it differently. It's up to you and how you feel it. Do you want the moo to stand out? If so, you're going to have silence before and after it. If not, you're going to connect it. The sings, cow sings moo, because if you're going to say a bossy cow sing moo, you generally kind of connect it. And then, I have milk for you is another sentence. So it depends on you and how you want to feel it on that. I tend to want to connect it. I just feel two phrases here. So I'm going to connect it all the way to moo and then lift up. And again, when I lift up, I'm just cutting the one note, the second half note, a little bit short so I can lift up. Because the next note, the quarter note, and the next measure must be on the beat. It's got to be right there. Now that I bored you enough with that, let's play this together very slowly. Now this is after you've learned it. No hesitations. We're just checking notes and rhythms to make sure you're playing the same note I'm playing at the same time I'm playing it. That's all it is. And you learn it first. Don't try and learn it by playing it with me. That's backwards. You learn it first and then check it with me. That's why I put the starting point of the Play With Me section in the description of every video, so you can always just go right to it when you need it. I'm going to give us 2 counts. Ready, go. 2 counts. Ready, go. 1, 2, tie, 2. 1, 2, tie, 2, off. Now there's a teacher's part to this at the bottom of the page, so we can do a duet. I'd like to do that. I'm going to play it about the same speed as we played it, but the duet has a lot of half notes in it, and I need to be playing quarter notes so I can keep a beat. So I'm going to adjust this duet part so I'm playing quarter notes. You just play what you just played. I'll give us 2 counts. Ready, go. 1,